Hello, my friends. Welcome. We are here with my good friend and colleague, Robyn Smith, who is here today to talk to us about communication. I know the number one thing that both men and women say they would like to learn how to do better. So I'm really excited to share. Robyn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll just tell you, for those of you who aren't familiar with Robyn, Robyn is an award-winning speaker, master trauma, communication, and relationship coach for women, and the founder of the Rock Your Relationship movement. She's helped thousands of people transform from frustration into fulfillment by cultivating deeper, more conscious, and loving connections. And with her thriving 24-year marriage as inspiration, Robyn combines practical relationship strategies with emotional healing to create lasting change. And her approach goes way beyond communication. It's really reshaping how women experience love and connection. As a certified master trauma coach, she specializes in helping clients break free from trauma and unhealthy patterns, restoring harmony within their relationships and within themselves. So welcome, Robyn. So glad you're here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Risa. I always enjoy sharing here with your community.
Yes, we're always happy to hear all your gems of wisdom. So I know Robyn is going to give us 3 powerful shifts that we can make right now to be able to communicate more confidently, more clearly, so that we can create better connection with people. So we're going to dive in. Robyn, you ready for some questions?
Yeah, bring them on.
Okay, so tell us, why do so many smart, self-aware women like ourselves still struggle to feel truly heard and understood in their relationships?
Yes, I know it's one of the things that pains me when I see women who are just have such big hearts and yet they're struggling in these ways and getting into these unhealthy dynamics in the relationships. So from what I've seen in my many years of coaching hundreds of women and helping thousands of women through my programs and is that women are, and we all really are acting based on what we know from our childhood so much of the time. So we see unhealthy dynamics modeled with our caregivers, our parents in school, whatever it is, usually our family of origin. And then that, so we model those patterns of communication. And then we may also, because of early childhood trauma, we may have developed unhealthy beliefs or negative self-beliefs so that we don't feel we're good enough and things like that, that then kind of impact how we communicate as well, how we show up in our relationships. And this can all lead to patterns like people pleasing, like not having healthy boundaries, like shutting down when you want to speak up. So, and then of course, most of us were just not taught how to communicate skillfully. We didn't have that good modeling and we didn't have any training. So we're just figuring out as we go without many good examples in front of us. And so this is part of the problem that I'm trying to change in my little way over here by teaching people, effective communication skills.
Yeah, thank you, Robyn. You have such a rich perspective on the whole situation. I know it is, we're but not been modeled, most of us, in a good way. What does effective communication look like? That's a skill we probably should have been taught in grade school, that we're just not taught. It actually is a skill, which is why I'm so grateful for the work you're doing. And so what do you see? Well, let's see, when you have empowered communication, what
Mhm.
becomes possible in your relationship, and why does that matter so much?
Yes. Yeah, I love the term empowered communication. So, when we're empowered, we're standing strong in ourselves, we're confident, we are willing and able to speak up for ourselves without guilt, without remorse. Hopefully, most of the time at least, we're able to advocate for our needs and we're more likely to get heard and understood because of that. And that's a big thing. I can say that like lightly, heard and understood. And I say that a lot because that's what so many women tell me. I don't feel heard and I don't feel understood. So when you have these effective communication skills, you're just more likely to get those basic needs met, feeling like you're getting seen, you're being held, you're being gotten in your relationships. And you have just more positive connection, which I think we all long for, like for relationships to be more easy, to feel like you're actually connecting on a deeper level, on a meaningful level. So that's what's possible, that you really can have that when you have a good, healthy set of skills in your tool belt.
Yeah, more connection. We all want that, right? That's what kind of what the point is.
Yeah, exactly.
Point is, right? So what do you see as some of the most common communication pitfalls that hold us back?
Yeah, so there's a lot, but here's one of the ones I'm going to speak of today. And maybe I've touched on it a little bit already, but afraid to speak your needs. So people don't speak up, they hold back. They might become, and we'll talk about this a little bit more down the road too, but maybe there's a fear of rejection, a fear of people not liking you, not thinking you're nice if you don't speak up for what you want. So you might withhold that truth. There's also a pattern of blaming that people do. I learned that growing up. There was always like, who did this? Who did that? And so that finger pointing, that looking for the cause of the problem. And that's a big pitfall because that leads to usually someone getting defensive, someone arguing, someone blaming you back. So it doesn't tend to have a positive outcome except feeling bad and creating distance. And then shutting down. So it's not only not speaking up for your needs, but not speaking up at all. So sometimes people will just zip it, walk away to avoid conflict, or pretend everything's fine to avoid conflict. Stuff it under the rug so it just festers there, and then later there's a blow up or there's a lot of resentment, and again a lot of distance or hurt feelings. Lack of trust can come from that. So these are some of the big pitfalls I'm naming today: shutting down the communication, blaming, and not speaking up for your needs.
Yeah, I can totally relate to a lot of that myself, that I've had to, through my own healing, overcome. And that's something that I help my clients with as well. But it's so common, just that fear of speaking up and shutting down. And then the blaming thing we know is really not helpful. So, yeah,
Doing
definitely.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Really common. Can you share some examples of the kinds of early trauma that can make it hard to communicate with confidence and clarity?
Yep. Yeah. So I will say that like a lot of these patterns, like I think I touched on earlier, aren't just from what you learned by watching others around you, but because there was something that was happening in your family or wherever you were growing up that created some hurt, some wounding. And then, and then out of the need to survive that situation, um, you create certain patterns. So we call these your survival strategies. So here's some examples of what that might look like. So, and just to say, often when people think trauma, they think like physical abuse or sexual abuse. And of course, that is very traumatic, or a car accident. But I'm not necessarily speaking of those things, but it can be more subtle, like your parents are working all the time. And so I'll be going through these examples here. So the first one being neglect. So there's different kinds of neglect that you could have, or another kind of version of that could be not being wanted, like you were, maybe your mother tried to abort, or you were just like an accident. And so there's a dynamic that you feel when you weren't wanted, and you may be told you weren't wanted too, or you're being neglected because your parents didn't have the capacity. Maybe they were working all the time. Maybe they're in the hospital or sick. Maybe you have several other siblings and they just couldn't give everyone their, attention. So, but when there's of all out neglect, like just not being attended to, you might feel not worthy of being here. And especially if you weren't wanted in the first place, makes it hard to feel worthy of connection, worthy of closeness, and you might be more avoidant of intimacy. And you might be more likely to withdraw or shut down and isolate because it's like you've already been abandoned from the early neglect. And so abandonment feels like the most terrifying thing. So you avoid abandonment by not getting close. So hopefully that makes sense. So
Mhm.
that's one type of trauma if you've had early neglect. And this other type, again, I'm going to name two more, but that misattunement is the other type. Misattunement is like your early caregivers not knowing how to attend to you. So it's not just neglect, like no attention, but it's also like missed, not getting it right. And caregivers don't always get it right. Like when an infant's crying, they don't know why, but they at least try, right? A good caregiver will come and say, like, try to comfort you, or is it, do you need some food, or do I need to change your diaper? So there's a process of attending, of attuning to in that. And that's what we all still need in our adult relationships. But when you didn't get that enough as a child, your caregiver isn't tuning in to who you are and what you need, um, then you feel like your needs don't matter. So then what you'll do is suppress your needs and do your best to take care of others' needs. So you'll be like the need provider. What do you need? What do you need? How can I take care of you? Because because your own needs feel so threatening because they were never met. So to avoid the pain of your needs not getting met, you become a need provider or an overgiver, to where you're always trying to, take care of others before you take care of yourself. So that's a certain kind of trauma that can happen. And that can cause you then to not speak up when you want something and just be someone who kind of goes along and then feels a lot of resentment later because you're not getting what you want and you keep saying yes to people and helping them out when you don't want to, and they take advantage of you. So raise your hand or put a yes in the comment if that resonates. And then we'll go to the third one, which is, and there's more than this, but I'm just giving you three today. If you've had a lot of harsh punishment in your early upbringing or in your early environment, your parents had strong rules. They were, highly punitive. You had, or they were very strict with you. Then you get the sense that you couldn't be yourself, because if you acted out, or if you cried, or if you laughed in the wrong time, or whatever you did, you would get punished. So you do a lot of suppressing yourself with resentment. And then, but in order to survive that, you learn how to please, you learn how to be the good girl, you learn how to be nice, you learn how to be, do what you think people want you to do, so you don't have to face the punishment. And then we can still be doing that as adults, because these patterns tend to live on unless we face them head on and address them. So you might still be saying yes when you want to say no, not putting up boundaries, again, letting people walk all over you because you're afraid of ultimately some kind of rejection. So those are those three kinds of trauma that are really
Thank
common.
you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's so interesting, isn't it, that how the survival strategies get kicked into place, and they work in the moment, but as adults, right, we if we can start to notice where we're experiencing emotional difficulty, then that's our opportunity to get some help, like from
Yeah.
coaches like you and me. So I'm glad that you're here. So we have a few more questions. Let's see. Um, when past trauma is impacting your ability to express yourself, what three areas do you recommend focusing on first?
Yeah. Again, this is just a little bit keeping it brief here for our short interview, but yeah. So there's a three things that you could focus on with yourself when past trauma is kind of getting in the way of you having the kind of connections you want. Your nervous system. So any kind of trauma is going to affect your nervous system. You might feel like you're an anxious person. You might feel like you're always on guard, like you don't feel safe in the world or around people or around lots of types of situations. So your nervous system needs to be addressed. And especially when there's so much already stressful in the world and just trying to live in this current day and age that, a lot of us are carrying a lot of stress and a lot of inner pressure. So working with the nervous system is going to help us to handle life a lot more easily and with just a lot more gracefully. And then another one really core is your self-worth. And I know, Risa, you work with this a lot with people. It is so fundamental that especially if you've had trauma, that it becomes, you form an identity around, if you've had this type of chronic trauma that I've been talking about, you form an identity around like, I'm not worthy, or I'm not likable, or I'm not good enough. And then it impacts, like I was saying earlier, how you show up in your relationships. So if you don't address that, it's still going to be there. It's still going to show up in your work, at your home, in your, in your love life. So your self-worth is so key to unpack and start getting to that root of like why you're holding that and how to feel that sense of wholeness and enoughness and lovable. So that's really fundamental. And I had a lot of work to do on that one myself, to get to where I am today.
Yeah, me too. Raise your hand. I think we all have that, we all have our stuff, and it is, we just become over identified with that wounded self, that wounded part of us. So that's our work now. And
Mm.
there is support available. So,
Yes. Let's do the last one real quick here.
okay. What's one
I mean,
powerful?
the third one. I have one more.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is like what other thing needs to be addressed, right? If you're
Right. Nervous system, self-worth.
self-worth, and then your unresolved emotions. So in my work, I focus on emotions a lot because it's like it's like next right there with our identity. It's like it's related to our sense of self. We have old emotions based on these old wounds, and if they're not worked through, they still get easily triggered. So if you find yourself easily triggered, easily reactive, you feel, you get into sadness or anger really easily, especially those two, or fear, then you probably have some old emotions that need to be addressed and worked through with ideally a professional like Lisa or myself, or somebody that you resonate with. So that they're not like holding you down or in the way or always coloring your, your way of seeing the world or your default, so really important to address those so you can set your boundaries, so you can communicate skillfully, so you can feel worthy and make a deeper connection with people.
So
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah, that's
Well,
another. Yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say all three of those things, nervous system, the self-worth, and the unresolved emotions can directly impact your communication. I think just
Absolutely makes sense. Yeah, just dealing with our emotions. That's another thing, is that most of us, we just don't have the tools. I never knew how to do that until I got, received coaching, transformational life coaching. And,
Yeah.
it's another skill that we're just not, it seems like, oh, a natural thing, but it's really, we really need some tools to be able to do that, effectively, that healing.
I agree. Yeah, most of us, we just learn to either act out our emotions and like yell at people or hit ourselves or suppress them, right? Like it's not okay to be angry, not okay to cry, or all those things that this old training that we were given that's actually not very helpful. So yes, finding a healthy way to a healthy relationship with your emotions is really important.
So good.
Yeah.
Robyn, if a woman listening right now feels stuck in painful communication patterns, what are 3 small shifts that she could start making today to turn things around? I know you had 3 keys you wanted to share with us.
I do. So these are
Yes.
simple. These are powerful, even though they're simple and basic, that you could start with. And here we go. The first one is eye contact. So eye contact is, especially these days when people are constantly like looking at their phone. I was out to dinner with a friend and she was on her phone half the time. I was like, wow, I can feel like I connected at all. So, everyone knows what that's like. And then you might be that person who does that, or you might be that person who can't make eye contact because it's really uncomfortable for you. So just know that if that's you, it's something to work through and to get help with, because eye contact helps us feel seen. It helps us feel like we're connecting. We read a lot through our facial expressions. And when you're not looking at someone's face, it makes a difference. And so people don't feel like they can really get you or connect with you. So that's a big thing you can do to help yourself feel heard and to make a better connection.
I love that one, Robyn. I know I'm going to let you finish the other two, but the eye contact, don't underestimate the power of eye contact. You know how good it feels. It's like the eyes are the window to the soul, right? That's how we make connection, is through eye contact. And I think it's kind of, unfortunately, I think it's kind of rare to actually have someone's full attention, and have eye contact is such a powerful way to feel heard and to have that connection. So that's awesome. I love that one. What else you got? Two more.
Two more. The next one is consent. So consent is like permission. It's sort of like, hey, is it okay to ask you this question? Or is it okay? Can we spend a little time together? Or, or have something I need to talk about. So asking before not before you speak, anytime you speak, but if you have something important you need to say and you want the eye contact, if you can't always expect it, right? Like I come downstairs, my husband's got his face in his screen, he's like reading the news or whatever. And so, so if I want to have an important conversation, I'm not just going to start talking to him to his back, right? I'm gonna ask, like, hey, do you have a minute? Do you mind turning, towards me, and or if not now, when's a good time? So that's me asking for consent, so that I know that he will be available. So I'm going to ask, when can you be available for me, or for this 30-minute conversation, or for a quick question I have for you? So I'm going to get met way more likely than if I just spring it on him, or like talk to him while he's doing something else, right? So that's consent, and it's really powerful.
That's setting it up for success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know sometimes it seems like a logical thing, but it's sometimes we've got just something, we've just got to get it out. We don't wait to ask permission to share it, and then he's not really available. He's busy doing something else. And so then we create that disconnection. So that's a really good one. Yes, ask for permission if you've got something important to share. Make sure they're available to hear, right?
Yeah, make sure they're available, not just physically, but emotionally, like they have they're willing to be there. Okay, third one is a simple boundary to get a need met. So this might be around the timing of a conversation. So say that the tables are turned and someone is asking you for something, like, hey, when can we have a conversation? Or I need to talk to you about something. Or maybe they're springing something on you and you're in the middle of something. So this is a time for you to set a little boundary and say, hey, right now I just need to finish this thing and then I can be available. Or, you know what, I've got back-to-back appointments, but how about we talk at 6 o'clock? Or so that is setting a boundary and letting someone know when you can be available. And that's a certain type of boundary that I recommend. And it's very simple, and it's getting your own need met to be available when you want to be, and not just when someone else wants you to be. And it's very empowering to do that. So that's a simple type of boundary that you can set. And that can go with phone calls too, by the way. Like for this friend who was at the restaurant with her phone, and I was thinking later, just because someone is texting you doesn't mean you have to answer it right now, right? Like, unless it's an emergency, you can be like, you know what? I'm going to put that down and I'm going to answer it later. Even someone's calling you, like if you're in the middle of something, you get to have a boundary and say, not right now. So that's a simple boundary.
Yeah, and I always appreciate that when if when people share that with me too. I might be texting someone and they might just at least get back to, if maybe they can't get back to me right away, and then I'll know that, or they'll text back and say, I'm just in the middle of something. Can I get back to you later? So it's like, I appreciate that when people set their own boundaries too. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good for both, go on both ends for people. Yeah.
totally agree.
Beautiful. Yes. So, what's one powerful insight or step you wish every woman knew about creating connection through communication?
Yeah.
Our
Hmm.
last question.
Yeah. Oh, I would say the insight is it really is possible to have real and meaningful connection with people, especially with the right people who are available, who want that with you. And that it may take some time to learn how to do that because we have to unlearn the old ways that aren't effective and learn the new ones and really practice them and get it in our bones. But I can say, I can speak from experience, and I'm sure you can too, that with practice, with the right tools, with the right support, you really can get to a place where your relationships feel satisfying and nurturing to you. So that would be my takeaway. Like it's worth the work. Get the help, get the support, get the tools so that you can have what you are longing for.
Beautiful. Well, that's a hopeful message. Yeah, but we got to get the skills and the tools, right? And the support. So, Robyn, I know you have a free communication training coming up, which I'm very excited to share with everyone. Can you tell us a little more about that and how we can find it?
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it. It's coming up September 15th, so in 2025, that's the dates, and starts that day, and it's just about an hour long for 5 or 6 days. We're gonna have a 2 hour workshop on the last day. So um, but it is called the connection code. So we've been talking about connection. Here's the code that you need to, here, I'm going to help you unlock the code to real connection and clear communication and boundaries that bring you closer. So even if you've done this training before, I'm adding a whole day on boundaries because I keep hearing that women want that. So we're going to be looking at every day, you're going to get some skills that you can implement right away in your relationships. There's also going to be little assignments. So if you want to practice with the group, I'm going to ask you to do that, and there's prizes. So, to reward you for taking action. And my idea with that is that I really love when people just jump in and learn it. Don't just listen and walk away and go back to your normal life, but implement it, so you really get it in your bones, like I was saying right there during the training. And within 5 or 6 days, you are like, I've got some new skills and I can use these. And I've had many people say, wow, I got so much out of that. My daughter turned around and listened to me, or I didn't have that argument that I was about to have, or, I feel like I was able to speak up at work, or whatever the thing was. So the connection code is coming up. Risa has a link for you below this interview. And yeah, I hope you will join us. It's totally free, by the way. And I don't know if I'll be doing it again. So I hope to see you there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Robyn. I know it really is such a valuable training worth many hundreds of dollars, which you're very generous to share all this information with everybody at no cost. So I really encourage everybody to take advantage of it while you can. And I know a lot of people that have been through it and, like you said, have really been able to take away some practical tools that they've been able to implement right away and really start to see some changes and be able to communicate more effectively and have greater connections. So powerful, so important. So thank you so much, Robyn. Any last words of wisdom before we let you go?
Oh, I think that was a lot. You're going to get so much more in this training. So if you got something from this, just know that training is chock full with, like I said, several skills and, in a beautiful community of women. So it's just a training for women. So it's a safe space I'm creating where we can share. There's even evening where you can get some coaching. So yeah, I hope you'll join us, and I hope I get to meet some of you who are watching this interview.
All right. Thank you so much, Robyn. Thanks, everybody. Go ahead and click that link and come on over and join us for how to learn some better communication.
Yes.
All right. Lots of love. Bye for now.